Everyone says throw big meat if you want to catch big trout, but what if I told you the deadliest streamers are smaller than your pinky finger? Today I'm going to show you the top 10 micro streamers and some tips and tricks that outfish the biggest patterns even on pressured water. And I'm going to guarantee you that you're going to be sending this out to your fishing friend halfway through saying we've been doing this all wrong. We're going to break the mold today. And if you get a chance, please like, follow, and subscribe this channel so we can get more action and more value out to everyone that's out there. We'd appreciate that. All right, just want to give you a heads up too that this episode short snippet video today comes from an episode I did with Brian at Trout Tornado, episode 821 of the Wet Fly Swing podcast. So if you want to listen to the full podcast, you can do it right here. You can listen to the full podcast either on Apple or Spotify. And Brian gets into a bunch of good stuff. We're going to summarize what Brian is talking about today as we get into it. And I just want to give you a bonus here. These are the top killer micro streamer patterns, and Brian recommends these. I'm going to give you these as a little bonus here. Number one bonus tip here on flies is the microburst. This is a 1 to 1/2 inch marabou ice dub. Use all colors. The copper top is number 2. The heavy jig, grating current. Number 3, micro minnow. Number 4, fresh flounder. This is Brian's micro leech for small trout. And the Squimpish Clauser is a synthetic 2.5 inch tungsten-eyed fly, and that's his 5 favorite micro streamer flies. You can get them all right there. You can check in with us. Keep 3 colors, olive, white, and brown. These are the key. Those 3 colors is all you need in all of these, and you're good to go. And on this one, if you stick with me till the end, I'm going to be sharing my number 1 most important tip and the reason why he was able to catch a 27-inch brown on a fly smaller than a paper clip. All right, let's get into the top 10, counting down to number 1, and here we go. Number 10, top tip for catching fish with micro streamers is you want to, and some of these are going to be general, approach downstream whenever possible. So again, you've got a fish out there. We know stealth is important. So if you have to, maybe even crawling on your hands and knees at certain point, you want to stay as quiet as possible. You don't want to make a lot of wakes in the water. So snip in there so you don't spook the fish. So that's an easy one. Stay stealthy. All right, number 9, prep gear for tight water. So what Brian says is you run compact leaders, like 5 to 7 foot total length, and he uses 10-pound mono, which turns over easier out there. And he also says to carry multi-tip lines. Floating and intermediate heads will let you switch between depths and it will allow you to actually fish more. So carry multi-tip lines. And what he says is keep your rig short and stout. Tight quarters demand quick cast, not pretty loop. So again, we're not blasting out a huge, long, tight loop. We're actually keeping it short for these waters. All right, number 8, adjust to water temperatures. This is a critical one, water temp. So above 48 degrees Fahrenheit. So if you're above 48, you're going to have active fish, faster water and retrieve. So you can do more active stuff. If you're below 48, you're going to be in slower flows, fishing heavier flies. So you're looking for those slower waters. As the water gets colder, they're not going to be in the faster water. They're going to be wanting to work less. So always check water temperature before deciding where you're fishing. And like we said, that cutoff line is 48 degrees. All right, number 7, find the feeding zones. Another critical one here. So focus on the seams, the soft edges, and the tail outs before the spawn. So if we're talking before the spawn for brown trout or any of the fish, look for these soft feeding zones. In colder months, you want to hit the buckets just above the gravel bars. In warmer months in the summer, target fast, knee-deep runs. And a little trick here, a little tip and trick is 5 minutes no bump equals change pattern or depth. So if you're out there fishing for 5 minutes, you don't touch anything, no bump, no feedback, then you want to be changing your pattern or your depth to get down the fish. That's a great one. All right, number 6, 2-fly rig. So he loves the 2-fly rig, Brian at Trout Tornado. Tie a number 10 micro swivel between leader sections. So you got the micro swivel. Use heavier anchor fly on the bottom, lighter teaser up, about a 3 to 4 inch dropper. So heavy anchor fly on the bottom and lighter dropper above it. This allows you to fish 2 depths simultaneously. And the trick here is 2 flies, double your odds and reveal the hot color fast. So if you're using 2 flies, you can find out what's working and you can double down on that. I want to take a quick break. Those are the first 5 before we get into the last 5, and these are even better than the first 5. We want to remind you to subscribe, follow, and if you get a chance, comment. I would love to hear what your favorite tip is from today, if you have one right now, or your favorite struggle. Leave a comment, and whoever comments here, I'm going to select a winner to get access to Wet Fly Swing Pro, which is our paid community place to connect on trips, get access to trips, all sorts of great stuff there. So please subscribe, get us us to 10,000. We're at 10,000. That's what we're going for. And then we're not there yet. All right, let's jump back into it. So number 5 on the tips for micro streamers is use loop knots on all streamers. So I've been talking a lot about this for a number of different species, but what the open loop knot does on your fly is it adds articulation and frees the movement. So it works with heavy mono, really any leader. That's the great thing about it. So if you're tied directly with a clinch knot, your fly is a little bit stiff. If you got an open loop, it's going to allow that fly to wiggle and go back and forth. Brian uses a 4-step, he calls it his Trout Tornado loop. The tip is to replace the clinch knot and go to loop knots, which is what we talked about here. All right, number 4, we're getting closer. Master the machine gun retrieve. The machine gun retrieve, this is key. Use rapid 2 to 4 inch rod tip twitches. Pop, 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 pop. That's what Brian loves, the machine gun retrieve. Avoid long, lazy strip. This is the Master, the machine gun. Fast recovering rod like the Echo SR3 performs best. So he even mentions that in the podcast. Again, you can listen to the full episode if you want to dive in deep, episode 821. And what it does is this mimics frantic minnows perfectly. So speed variation triggers reaction strikes. All right, number 3, read water by the season. And we've been talking a little bit about this. So in the springtime, you want to fish the faster seams, oxygen-rich, food-heavy is what you want to do in the springtime. As you get into summer with micro streamers, you want to target the shaded banks and riffle heads. And then in the fall, you want to go to the glides near gravel, pre-spawn staging zones. In the winter, stay deep, slow, holes with moderate flow. And the top tip is to know where trout live before worrying about the pattern. So again, these are key. And Brian is also, we're doing this because this was our most listened to podcast episode of later in September. So this is our biggest episode. So we're hitting the best one and we're just following up here on a couple. So 2 more here. Number 2, top tip for micro streamer is match the minnow hatch. So he says the minnow hatch is key. Small fry hatch every season and you want to imitate that, not the bugs. Early season, a 1-inch translucent, late summer, 3-inch dark. So again, between the seasons, think young trout, dace, or sculpin. So anywhere you're going to have young fish, you can do this anywhere. Adjust the size every few weeks as fry grow. So as you go through the season, those fry are getting bigger and bigger and bigger, and you want to make your fly a little bit bigger. So we're talking micro still, which is small. You know, anything in that 2 to 3 inch range is kind of the micro streamer. And the trip here is to match the hatch. This applies to minnow too. All right. And the number 1 top 10, the biggest tip for fishing micro streamers is the bead on the loop. This is a serious depth hack that we haven't talked about. So you're going to have your loop, which we talked about. You're going to slide a 3/16 inch tungsten or brass bead before tightening the loop. So you're going to slide that on there. You're going to tighten that loop, and now you're going to have this brass on there. What it does is adds 1 to 2 feet of depth instantly. No need to retie or swap flies out. So that's key. And then it's going to also turn any micro fly into a fly mimicking a jig. So the trick here, the quickest way to change depth, this is what it is. It's allowing you to change depth quickly, super quick, easy to do this. So you slide again that 3/16 inch tungsten or brass bead before tightening the loop. So remember this always. And this is our number 1 bead on the loop trip for trick for fishing micro streamers this year. All right, that's it. Appreciate you for stopping in for this super quick summary of episode 821 of the Wet Fly Swing podcast. This is where Brian went deep on all these topics. We just gave you a summarized, jam-packed version of all the biggest tips. Is one of our most listened to episodes of the year. So just want to give you a shout out on that and we appreciate you for stopping in today, listening to this short snippet. If you're loving this, please subscribe, click that bell, leave a comment. Let's keep this going. We'll see you here very shortly, probably in a couple weeks or sooner. And thanks again. And we will talk to you on the next one.